everyone. I'm Tatiana Derugina, a professor of finance at the University of Illinois, and this is Econ Quick Takes. Last time, we talked about the fact that tariffs will in general raise prices for domestic buyers. But one might ask whether that price increase is worth it to help domestic producers of that good. The short answer is that no, it's not worth it. But let's unpack this. First, will a tariff help domestic producers of that good? The answer is yes. Existing producers of the relevant good will be able to sell it for a higher price because a tariff will in general raise domestic prices too. Because foreign producers are disadvantaged by the tariff, domestic producers will likely increase their output. Domestic producers can also sell their output at a higher price, a clear win-win for them. New domestic producers may enter the market too. But the extra revenue for domestic producers is not a free lunch. It comes from buyers paying more for the good. So what the tariffs end up doing is transferring money from domestic buyers to domestic producers. But how do we know this transfer created by the tariffs isn't worth it? Here's where the problem lies. Higher prices mean fewer buyers, unless they don't care about price, which is rare. So some buyers that would have bought the good at a lower price will no longer get to do so. Total quantity purchased will fall. And that's what we call a deadweight loss, because that loss of consumption is pure economic waste. The same problem arises when tariffs are applied to intermediate imported goods that other domestic producers use as inputs. These producers too will have to raise their prices, but unlike domestic producers that produce the good on which the tariff has been imposed, producers that use imports as inputs will not be helped by the tariff. Their total production will shrink because consumers will respond to higher prices by buying less, and some of them may even have to exit the market. That's another source of deadweight loss. It's a loss of economic activity from which no one benefits. On top of that, tariffs help prop up high-cost production that would not be able to compete in the absence of tariffs. And here it's helpful to remember that resources, whether it's raw materials, our time, or other things, are scarce. So we want them to be directed to the best possible use. When we implement tariffs, we are effectively subsidizing inefficient production and diverting resources from other, likely more worthwhile uses. Does this mean tariffs are never warranted? Not necessarily. There are genuine national security concerns in some cases. For example, we wouldn't want to rely on a potential adversary to produce our weapons. But the vast majority of tariffs can't be justified on national security grounds. They're just taxing domestic consumers and propping up high-cost production. But what if the government wants to help domestic industries or workers hurt by trade? Are there better approaches? Yes. There are plenty of options because there are many things that private firms and markets don't do well. For example, the government can help fund education to raise the skills of U.S. workers, or retraining programs, or even just cash transfers to help workers who are displaced from their industries by trade. Government can also subsidize research and development to help firms improve their production techniques and develop new ones, which will make them more competitive in the global economy. I'll be sure to cover the role of the government in the economy in another video. So, the big question is, why do so many governments implement tariffs anyway? One hypothesis is that the losers from tariffs, who are the consumers, are scattered and not well organized. Consumers may also not be able to distinguish modest price increases from inflation. So if the tariff isn't huge, consumers may not even realize they're being taxed. But let's do some math. If 100 million consumers have to pay even an extra $10 a year for something, that's $1 billion right there. And just like that, a hidden tax takes $1 billion out of consumers' pockets without them even noticing. So that's why implementing tariffs to help domestic producers is in general a bad idea. Thanks for watching Econ Quick Takes. Until next time.